Perfect. So today's training for all of us on the call is going to be really about the listing contract itself. I have another video that I shot, recorded my screen the other day on how to fill out a listing agreement that I'll send to everybody. Yet, I want to just go through the listing agreement. This is super critical because A, you want to know what you're signing, and you want to know what to present to a seller in case they have any random question about what are they signing and what are they committing to. Okay, so let's just go through it page by page and we'll go from there. So what I did is, obviously when you pull up any WinForms listing agreement, there's really only two documents that you guys need, just two. Okay, it's the residential listing agreement, better known as the RLA, and that includes agency, things like that. And then the other document you need to pull up is what's called the seller instructions to exclude listing from the MLS, also known as an SELM, and I'll explain what that is. You take these two with you at any listing presentation. That's all you need to take a listing and be in compliance. And then everything else, Suhaila and Sean and the rest of the team can do after. Okay. So A, disclosure agency. You all have already done a transaction or are doing a transaction, so you know what this is, right? But I'll reiterate. So when I'm explaining to a seller, I say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, this is our agency disclosure. It says that myself, well, this case is Michael's listing agreement. Michael and Keller Williams are representing you as the seller's agent on this transaction. Everything we discuss is completely confidential, and it's basically our obligation in the state of California to work our butts off for you guys and get this home sold. That's what I say. Okay. Second page we don't sign. Next one, and this is literally what I say, so you can say what you'd like. I let them know that, hey, in the state of California, there's a lot of disclosures that we have to sign. Unfortunately, it's California. Some I don't agree with. This one's one of the ones that I think is pretty ridiculous, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, yet it is what it is, and they laugh about it. And I literally tell them it's a possible representation of more than one buyer or seller. This literally states, Mr. Seller, that at any one time, we're working with multiple buyers or sellers. You are not our only client that we're working with. And then they laugh, and I say, you know what? Yet with the service that we're going to provide from now until we get you this home closed and get you your equity, you're going to feel like you're our only client. And then I have them sign that, seller. Eventually the buyer signs this when we're in escrow, agent signs it, dates it, etc. Now we go to the listing agreement itself, okay? Important thing is you want this dated the day that you're there. So we already went last night on the presentation. Michael's going back literally on Saturday to get this signed. So the date's going to be on Saturday's date. It's the seller's names. It's Keller Williams Realty. The date is going to be Mr. and Mrs. Seller. It starts on May 6th because that's when we're signing it. And our standard term is 6 months, just so you know. Even though it's not going to take us 6 months to sell your home, this is the term. And by the way, the term exists from today, all of our pre-marketing, our launch, when it goes on the market, all the way through when we close escrow. We have to have an active listing contract. Yep, we'll be fine. Your address is here, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. Then you have your city, you have your county, your zip, your parcel number as well. We've already discussed that your price is going to be $549,900. Our real estate commission is 6% total. And as we've discussed, because you're a preferred client of Michael's, we were able to agree with you that if Michael Solis represents the buyer as well, then the total commission would be 5%. So sometimes, guys, what I do, depending on the occasion, is if they're trying to negotiate on commission, is I always say, hey, if me, the agent, represents the buyer as well, and I double end it, then the total commission, I'll bring down 1%. So in this case, we brought it down to 5%. Something that I do if I have to, even though in previous years, literally 25 to 27% of the time I would double end a listing. To be honest with you guys, the more and more as California is getting more litigious, I'm in a way stepping aside from wanting to double end a listing. Luckily for us, we have a team. So if there's a hot buyer lead, I can have Michael write the offer, Enosh write the offer, whoever's doing the open house, you guys the same thing. It's just there's a hairy point of truly being ethical when representing buyer and seller, because really you've been hired to represent the seller, not the buyer, and that's the thing. So with that said, commission's there. This section is important as well because we had a client ask on Enosh's listing the other day what that was, and we had to clarify it, right? So it says within 60 days. And by the way, I always put 6% when I go on a listing. I always put a 6-month term, and I always pre-fill in 60 days. The other video I recorded, you'll see how I fill in a listing. and what I pre-fill in before I actually go, and the rest I handwrite in when I'm in front of them. 60 days talks about Mr. and Mrs. Seller. Once our listing expires, if it expires on November 6, 2017, immediately I'm required to give you a list of names and numbers of agents and buyers that came through your home during the time that we were listed. And if any one of those people buys your home within 60 days of our expiration date, then we're entitled to our commission. So that's what it says. And sometimes on number D, if you see right here, our letter D, this section right here, this is where you put in what commission is going to be offered in the MLS. Now, I leave it blank for a reason. Depending on your conversation, and sometimes there's 50% of sellers that ask you how much commission are you going to offer. If it gets down to a grinding negotiation on commissions, then you break it down to, hey, listen, at minimum, you want to go ahead and offer 2.5% in the MLS or 2% or whatever they want to do. So if that's been identified, that they know what's going to be offered, you put in literally, check that off and we're going to put 2.5% in the MLS, and then we get the other 3.5%. I always actually don't bring it up unless I want to negotiate on commission. If I have 50% of the time, kid you not, I take listings. There's no argument on commission because our presentation is so solid. And remember, when you guys deliver a listing presentation that's so solid, all they see and hear is value, 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 and commission is never, ever, ever, ever an objection in my world when I do this right. Okay, that means I take my listings at 6%, and honestly, I don't even fill this in, and I put 2.5% in the MLS. As long as that market, active, pending, closed, with this types of homes are generally offering 2.5%, I'll offer 2.5%. If I think I need to offer 3% to incentivize a buyer's agent, I'll offer 3. Otherwise, I'll offer 2.5, and believe it or not, I take 3.5% on the listing side. 50% of my listings I took last year and closed were 3.5%. 50% of the listings that I currently have in escrow, have sold, or are going on the market, I'm taking 3.5%. On this one that Michael's going to take, we're going to take 3.5%.
Solid, and congratulations, by the way, Michael. That's awesome, man. When did you guys do this?
So just so you know, guys, this is about being savvy business owners. I will literally pour my heart into you guys the next couple of years. I will make you guys freaking machines, and I will make you guys multiple six-figure income earners, and while you're working in a reasonable amount of time. The whole point is you can do 10 more transactions a month, but if you can make more money with the same activity, that's being a smart business owner. And there's nothing wrong with this, okay? Because we do spend a lot of money on marketing. We do spend a lot of things on that. So if there's an objection from a seller, let's say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, this is what we're going to do for you. Our commission is completely earned. If they have a problem, then we can talk about it. Like I took one the other night on Monday night, and 6% was in there. Yet these guys were super tight on equity, and they had to spend $2,000 to, I needed them to spend 2 G's on carpet paint touch-up. Otherwise, we got lowballed, right? Like minor repairs sometimes make a big difference. And they're super tight on cash flow because they need the equity. So I said, listen, this is what we can do. The going rate in your property in Ladera Ranch is 2.5% to the buyer's agent. So let's do this. Let's change the commission to 6%. By the way, let me show you what I did. It's right here. So this is the actual listing agreement they sent back to me, the one I'm talking about. So I pre-filled in 6%, right? But I changed it to 5.5. And we're only offering 2.5. Since the dialogue came up, I hand wrote in there 2.5%, because that 0.5% that they're not going to pay a buyer's agent, that literally equals, because it's going to sell for about $450. That's $2,250 they're going to save. That's going to pay for their carpet. And I really want to take care of these people. Okay, I'm still going to get my 3% though. I'm not getting 3.5. Yet the goal should always be, as a listing agent, people, that we take 3% to the house. You deserve it, you earn it, and we drop a lot of cash when it comes to getting marketing going, photos, future stuff that we're going to budget for, and we're going to need it because we want to net as much money as possible for each of us. Okay, so let me go back to this. So that was this section right here. Then everything else I honestly leave blank. I don't touch it. If I'm in there and I already know what items are going to be included or excluded, we're going to put them in here. Hey, it says, Fred, you know what? We're going to include the washer, dryer, fridge, etc. You put it in here so we're clear. It's not a deal breaker if you don't do it and you forget, but if you can know up front what it is, it's better to put it in here. The address goes up here, date's already in here. If there's any leased items with the property that are going to be coming with the property that have an existing lease on them, like a solar, an alarm system, water softener, you want to put that in here. And if there's anything that has a financed lien against the property, like a solar, you put that in there. Anything that, believe it or not, if there's something called hero loans, that they put a lien against the property on title for appliances of some sort. So you got to know going into there, you got to ask some of these questions, what and what's not included. But normally I leave this blank. And then I always pre-fill in CRMLS, and I tell Mr. and Mrs. Seller, our property is going to be going in the CRMLS. And then LA guys, you can put yours as well. And then I let them know, hey, this whole section talks about the benefits of using the MLS. And just so you know, we're going to be putting your home in the MLS. And this is a big old paragraph on why you should. And that's to your benefit. And they'll initial, you'll initial. And then the next page, I go into, literally, I talk about this page. Let me just go one by one. So this page talks about, I tell Mr. and Mrs. Seller, talks about the obligation that a broker and we have together. Everything we've already discussed as far as obligations go, agency goes. And the majority of this page, Mr. Seller, this page, Mr. Seller, and the next page really talks about disclosures. It's important in the state of California that you disclose as much that you know. Believe it or not, there's a disclosure that asks you a question, has an animal urinated on your property in the past 12 months? And then they start laughing, and I say, no, that's how serious this is. So everything we're going to talk about is disclose, disclose, disclose. Then this section really talks about, number one, we're going to be taking photography of your home, and your property, your address, your photos is going to be all over the internet. So you're acknowledging you're okay with that. We are going to be using some sort of lockbox, key safe, and a sign, just so you know as well. And then the rest of this talks about, and usually I don't bring these pages up, but if they're really analytical and they want to know what it is, then this page talks about arbitration and mediation over here. If there's any dispute that arises between our agreement, and knock on wood, Mr. Seller, and 13 years of our practice being in existence, we've never had an arbitration, we've never had a mediation. If it does, though, we agree to go to mediation, arbitration, and not go to court. Like I said, we're not going to have that problem, yet I got to disclose that to you. And then we go and we sign this page. That's the end of the listing agreement. And the next two pages, Mr. Seller, is what's called a seller's advisory. It literally talks about, like I said, disclose, disclose, disclose on this page and on this page. And just so you know, our staff is highly trained with myself and the rest of our admin staff that we're going to walk you through any disclosures that you may have and any questions that you may have regarding what you're filling out. Then the very last document we're going to have is what's called a seller exclusion. Because what you have to realize, Mr. Seller, is once we sign the listing agreement right now, which we're about to do, we legally have to put your home in the MLS within 48 hours. And like we talked about, we're not going to put your home on the MLS until May 31st because you got a lot of work to do, right? And they'll say, yes. So all this document states is that this is an exclusion to the MLS. Long story short, we've already agreed that we're not going to submit the property in the MLS until May 31st, 2017. Unfortunately, in today's world, the Southern California MLS is literally like the police. So if we don't have this document, we will literally get fined $1,000 and we'll all get in trouble, and we don't want that to happen, do we? They'll say no. So other than that, this is a listing agreement. Do you have any questions? Nope. Okay, let's go ahead and sign. Done. Cool? So let's talk about questions, gentlemen. What you got? Pretty simple. You guys fall asleep?
Pretty straightforward. Can you hear me?
Yeah, well, Michael and Enosh got like back-to-back nights with me, so I literally just, there's like a recording in their brain of what we just did, right?
Yeah, no, but it's good to have because it's a good reference for before I go on a listing appointment.
Yeah, because me and you were talking about this, right? You were like, you want me to come a couple more times so I can help you close that out. But if you watch this video literally 15 times, you won't need me to come close out a listing document with you.
Exactly.
Right. So watch this video just so you know. When I typed this agreement up for Mike the other day, this training is literally how to review it with a seller. There's a very similar one that we just did a couple days ago that I'll send you guys as well, and how to actually fill it out while you're on WinForms. Okay.
Cool.
And then we'll go from there.
Hey,
go for it.
Good, Aiden. Sorry.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
You're good, Don?
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward.
Right. So let me ask. Well, Albert, that listing that you took that manufactured home for 60 grand that you're working on.
Yeah.
What was the source of that lead again? Remind me.
It was actually a buyer buyer inquiry.
Hey, we're staring at your nostrils, dude.
Hey, I'm sorry.
Okay.
You're not recording at this. No, actually, it was a buyer inquiry. And when I called him, I've been chasing him for like maybe, I would say 2-3 months. And finally one day, I changed my pattern. I'm calling him, and I finally got a hold of him. And he says, "Well, actually, you know what? I'm actually thinking of selling my home first."
Got it.
And so when I went for the listing appointment, I was able to get him to sign with me, obviously, on the listing, and then also a preferred buyer agreement to buy his house. And right now, I'm just waiting for him to get approval, but we believe we already found the home that he wants also.
Perfect. So it was an inbound lead that came in, and obviously you were able to dig deeper and find that he's got to sell. Did you actually use the current listing presentation in its entirety to get the listing, or you just went over there and signed the agreement and it was a slam dunk?
I did not use the presentation you used. What I did is, I remember you and I had gone over in your office, and you gave me the one-on-one, and I pretty much already have the process for the listing presentation in my mind already.
Okay, cool.
And as a matter of fact, was a Monday or Tuesday, I went for another listing, and Adan was with me, and I did another presentation. And if it was not because the seller does not want to move until 6 months from now, I think I got the listing. So I'm sure he'll call me back later when he's ready, because he also wants to buy another property in San Diego first, and that has to happen first before he sells his. And so I did refer him to to an agent in Keller Williams in San Diego. So they're working already on, I'm looking at properties in San Diego so that I can start the domino on my side.
Cool. So, Enosh.
Yeah.
So you went on a FSBO appointment. You got a FSBO listing earlier this week, right?
Correct.
Good job. Number two, you went on the actual listing appointment for the first time. When again?
Well, what do you mean when?
When did you go on the initial listing appointment? Last week sometime, right?
It was, it was last week, the 26th, cool. April 26th.
And you told me that you used the listing presentation and pretty much in its entirety, start to finish, right?
I didn't finish it because right before I got to our marketing, I realized they were ready. And so I said, the only thing, I said, it seems like you guys heard enough. Why don't we go ahead and sign the agreement? Perfect.
Got it.
Yeah.
So now that you guys are starting, because I'm trying to get feedback. So now that you guys are starting the listing presentation, especially Enosh, you used it. How you told me you gave me feedback, but tell everybody else when using this presentation and the flow that it's in, the way that I've created it, the way that it flows really well. How did it work out for you?
It was a slam dunk.
Slam dunk. Perfect. Cool. So basically, somebody else other than Fred can close a listing using this presentation. It sounds like, right?
Exactly.
Okay, cool. And just so you know, that there'll be listings where I'm not saying you have to go through 100% of the presentation, even though they're ready to sign. If you get the inclination to close the deal halfway through, knock it out. If there's anything you do in that presentation, it's show them the value of who we are and what we do. It's the stats, right? How we get 8% more than the average Southern California realtor. We do it half the amount of time, number one. Number two, we talk about the 3 parties to sell a home and how long it takes and how much we can get for it and who's responsible, seller, broker, market. And then number 3, what's the fair market value and the 3 pricing strategies. If you do nothing else in a presentation, you can slam those 3 out and that's the value, knock it out. So,
hey Fred, one question I have. What if they ask, so, you explained what is arbitration, what is mediation.
Yep.
I mean, you stated that if they ask, what is arbitration and mediation and how is it?
Yeah, well, it's very simple. It's basically either we go to court or we actually go to arbitration or mediation. It just costs less money and it's more simple to do.
What is that though? What is it?
Arbitration is, there's literally a certified arbitrator that's hired, that's a mediator that sits between us and you, that mediates our negotiation to resolve whatever issue that we have, rather than trying to have to hire attorneys, go to court, and have a lot of money. The only clients that I have, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, that usually don't want to go to arbitration and mediation are my attorneys because they can go to court for free and represent themselves. So just so you know, for 13 years, all of our clients have signed this. And like I said, we've done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of real estate transactions in Southern California, and we have yet, and thank God, we never will have any sort of arbitration, mediation, or lawsuit. So that's that. I've never had somebody ask me like in detail what that actually is. If they did, I told them that and they were fine.
Okay. Well, I'm going to ask you one more question. Who hires the arbitrator?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I've heard
If
from.
they ask me who hires them, I'll say I have no idea. I can talk to my broker. I've never done it before.
Okay. Good. Nice.
So that's it. Any last minute questions, gentlemen?
Fred, I have a question.
Go for it.
And I kind of, something I noticed last night in our presentation when we were there, 3 pricing strategies, right? You have above market, at market, and create your own market, correct?
Uh-huh.
In the above market, you tell him nobody chooses this option.
Right.
What, I mean, I guess my question is, why do we even present it?
Because if people, to me, it's always been where's the final version?
Well, for me, when I did my presentation with my client, the one I just closed, she actually used the highest market. She had a price in mind, and it was the highest
Right.
strategy. It happened to work out, but it's obviously it has to be a market that can drive the price.
Yeah, so I guess what I'm saying is, Fred, is I don't think we should scrap, above market or test the market. I just don't know if it sounds that great to say none of our clients are choosing this.
Well, it does. Well, this is the thing. The reason I put it in there is A, I want to give them options. B, I want to get overpricing completely on the table and out of the way.
Gotcha.
I want them to don't think they have the Taj Mahal when they have freaking a Motel 6.
For sure.
Okay. So it really brings it out from the cover to have an uncomfortable conversation. And every time I've done this, they're all like, oh, yeah, no, we're not going to test the market. Oh, we're not going to test the market. We already know what that means. No way.
Would it be better just to say this is just not the, we're not, I guess this is not the market to try this strategy?
Not even. I'm just saying over the past 12 months, and this is the truth. Over the past 12 months, Mr. Seller, 0% of our clients have chosen this in the strategy. It's all about numbers. We're saying nobody chooses this. I mean, if you want to drastically overprice it by 50 grand, that's what we use. These are real numbers. So they know, hey, 5 to 8%, 0%. We bring value, we bring facts, and we're basically convicting them and convincing them that we actually know what the heck we're talking about. Like, we're not some pie in the sky brand new agent that doesn't know what they're doing. And, I want to sell your home and I'm going to market it and I'm going to da-da-da. No, this is what we do. Boom, boom, boom. Let's kick ass and sell your house. Straight up.
For sure.
These guys got 5, 6, 7, 3, 6. It doesn't matter. They have an asset. This 9 times out of 10, the homes that we're going to go on appointments for, guys, this is probably the biggest asset they have in their lives. That equity in that house means nothing unless it's cashed out and sold. And they need that money. It's important to them. And when you can bring them numbers and they bring facts and they see confidence and they see passion in your voice and conviction, you have the best chance of getting hired, and they're going to trust you right then and there. That's how powerful this presentation is. And we got to back it up, which we always back it up with our results. Always. Otherwise, don't dare take a listing. So, make sense?
Good.
Did you hear the conviction and passion in my voice about that?
Yes.
That's what I'm talking about. You got to believe it. So, we got to get some more seller leads. Hit the phones, guys. I'm telling you, the market's good right now. We want to get in the next 3, 4, 5 months. Put your heads down. Keep working your butts off. Go after listings wherever you can. Because they're going to be, I want to get us all in the habits of becoming listing machines. And back over here with Suhaila and Sean and some VAs that they've hired, we're upping our game. I told Robert last night, I said, tell everybody, and I'll tell everybody on the call this morning, that we got a lot of stuff going on right now. We're in pure growth mode, and it's pure chaos, and it's a beautiful thing. You have to be okay with chaos. You have to be okay with mistakes, because everybody on the team has their specialized role, and some might make mistakes, some might have to up their game, and they will, right, as we grow. And there's so much fun stuff that we're working on. So keep doing what you're doing, and trust that back at home, me as the mad scientist has some crazy stuff up my sleeve coming up over the next 30 to 90 days. Just get ready for it. Okay? But in order to get ready for it, you got to slang the homes that you currently have opportunities for, and we go from there. because I'm monitoring every single person's lead conversion. Whether I work with Albert, Adon, Eric or not, I know what you guys are doing. I know what Robert's doing. I know what Michael is doing. Enosh is doing. I know what I'm doing. I don't have you fill out numbers for no reason. Because when I see people are doing better as a whole in a team, then I know that I'm going to drop an extra $2,000 a month in marketing to get you guys an extra 30 leads apiece, if necessary. But I got to see the conversion take place. I don't literally throw $5,000 to $8,000 a month in additional marketing in the trash. What idiot would do that? But I want to feed the heck out of you guys so you can make a boatload of money, and we can all buy investment properties together, and we can all enjoy lives with our family, and we can go from there and do what we want to do. So this market's good right now, I'm telling you, and I've been in a market that shifts. So you literally got to eat the hay while the sun's out, like I said, right? You got to keep going right now. Watch your budget, watch your finances, put some money aside. Whatever you make, whether it's a $200 check or an $8,000 check. Put that sucker aside, pay your taxes. Let's get going, okay? This market's going to change eventually, and we've got to be ready for it. Sound good?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm going to go sell some
submitting an
houses.
offer today.
Beautiful.
I'm submitting an offer today. So one of our clients that I've been showing probably about 10, 15 houses, and they finally found it last night. So
nice.
Write
it up.
I already have it. I'm sending it out. I'm just waiting for a document send it in.
And then real quick with Adon, are you still on the phone? Yeah, you are. Adon's there. Albert's there, right? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So we got Robert and I were talking last night. So I know he's working on some stuff. We talked to Jordan as well. I don't know when this is going to happen. We're working on moving everybody into an office space in that market center. I'm not sure if he told you or not yet. But we're getting out of that desk and we're getting an actual office. So in the next 2 to 3 weeks, we're moving in there, getting some computers, some desks, some cabinets, and some fun stuff so we get some privacy over there. So get ready.
That's cool.
Yeah, we've been working on it. So that's one thing, Robert. He'll tell you more about that, but I might come up in 2 or 3 weeks with a bunch of furniture in my car and some computers and some fun stuff. So
yeah, hey, I got my first check yesterday.
Nice. Good.
I need more of those.
Yeah, we all do. Well, that's well, here, let me stop the recording so we can talk about some other stuff. Hold on.